Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk about what is known as advance parole, what it is, why you need it, and why it is so important. So, let me give you an example. Somebody's here in the U.S., just assume they're here illegally, but also assume they married a U.S. citizen and now they qualify to adjust status. And let's say that they filed properly to adjust the status, and the guy's so happy. He wants to go see his ailing mom, in France, and decides to leave because he has filed an adjustment application. He married a U.S. citizen. What problems could possibly exist? So he leaves to go to France, see his mom, and then when he comes back, they say, "Sorry, you're not allowed back." And then he's basically either expeditedly removed from the U.S. Now he has a deportation order, and/or he's put in detention and has to go through deportation proceedings, even if they allow that. So what happened? So what happens is when you apply for adjustment of status, you must apply for advance parole if you're going to leave the country. And advance parole is exactly what it says. It's giving you an advance authorization to be paroled or allowed back into the United States. When you're adjusting status in the United States, it's what you're doing. You're either legal or illegal, but for one reason or another, assuming you qualify, you are then changing or adjusting that status to become legal. Well, if you're outside the United States, you no longer have status in the United States. There's nothing to adjust, and that means that the second you stepped outside the United States, you have just abandoned your adjustment application. It no longer exists. By operation of law, it has been terminated. Even if they don't know that you left and are still adjudicating it at some point or another, whether it's the interview, whether it's answering a couple more questions on the paper, on the forms, one way or another, they will find out and you will have abandoned the application. It's the same thing, to be honest with you, if you're applying for example a change of status of a non-immigrant status, let's say F1 to H1, and you leave in the interim between the application, you've just abandoned that as well. So the issue here and the reality is that if you're adjusting status in the U.S. and you have such an application pending, in order to leave, you have to get advance parole. And you won't be given advance parole if you're subject, for example, to the 10-year bar upon reentry. So even in the example I gave you, if he wanted to go see his mother and he had been here out of status more than 6 months and was subject to the 3 to 10 year bar, they wouldn't have issued the advance parole because he wouldn't have been able to get back in because of the bar. So, bottom line, do not just leave the country when you've applied for adjustment without applying for advance parole. When you get the advance parole, you'll get a date that it's good until, and they also refer to that as the white passport. So when you leave, you'll enter back on the advance parole. By having that, you have officially informed immigration. You will not be abandoning the adjustment application by leaving. You won't then be subject to new bars, get a new deportation order, etc. So it is actually a very, very important application that you need to have in order to proceed forward if you're going to leave the country. Okay, if you like the video, click like, subscribe. More on the coming videos. Thank you. Bye.